Okay, my name is Olivier, and today I'm going to talk to you about the cure of the causes of diseases and what is the cure. We've noticed that 70% of the world population is sick, and we must have been doing something wrong because 70% of the world population is on medication. Is really something that is not acceptable. We have been doing something basically wrong to become to that level. If you look at animals in the forest, I don't think that they are as sick as we are, and in fact most of their lives they live that without being sick. And even if you look at babies which are 1 week old, 2 weeks old, they're already sick, and there's something fundamentally wrong that we are doing to arrive to that situation. The stuff that I'm going to talk to you about are stuff that you might have heard of it, and it will seem a little bit unconventional to hear that, but what I would like to let you know is that I've got no credential. I'm not a doctor, I'm not a dietitian, and basically I will talk to you from my personal experience and from the research that I've made. So basically I'm not asking you to believe me or to disbelieve me. What I'm asking you is just to have an open mind and to look at the facts, and from that you will be able to do your own research and decide what you can do about it. So I'm not here to convince anyone, but I'm just here to give facts, and basically, like I've just said, you will have to make up your own mind. Any machine to work need to have the proper fuel. It's like if you have a diesel car, you need to put diesel in it. If you have an aircraft, you need to put kerosene in it. If you put the wrong fuel, basically you are asking for trouble. And the same principle applies to the human mechanism. If you want your body to work in an optimal way, you need to give it the proper fuel, the fuel that it was designed for. So to be able to know all these things, we will have to look at the human physiology and decide and to see basically what the fuel it was designed for. To do this, we'll have to compare the carnivores and the herbivores and see how the human being relate to one another. So we're gonna have to first of all look in the mouth region. When we look at carnivores, we can see that they've got two piercing canines. They've got short incisors and the molars are not really developed. But if you look at herbivores, you can see that they've got no canines, they've got developed incisors and developed molars. Because herbivores, they are supposed to chew their food. And if you look at the jaw movement for carnivores, you can see that they've only got one movement in their mouth. It's up and down. Basically, they don't chew their food, they can only cut and swallow. But if you look at the herbivores, they've got two movements, basically up and down and side to side, so they can cut their food and chew their food. And if you look at we compare that with the human being, we can see that human being relates to herbivores. Us as human being, we can cut our food and we can chew that, but carnivores, they only cut and swallow. So if you pay attention, you look at your dog or your cat, you will see that they only cut their food and swallow that, they don't chew their food. If we look at the bite force, If you look at the dog, the bite force in the jaws, it varies between 300 and 400 pounds per square inch. If you look at the tiger or the lion, it goes between 800 and 900. For the hyenas, it's above 1000 psi. But if you look at a human being, it's only 135 to 150 psi, which means that human beings are not supposed to chew hard stuff. It's only stuff that are not really hard to bite. But if you look, like I've just said, the tigers and the lion, you can see their bite force is between 800 and 900 psi, which is very, very different from human beings. And another stuff that we can see as well to see where the human being relate, we can see that carnivore, if you look at them, they lick up their water. So if you see carnivore, even a dog at a stream, if they have to drink water, they will just lick up their water. But if it's an herbivore, they will suck up their water, and that's just what human beings do. They suck up their water. And the carnivore, they pant as well. And if you look at herbivores, they sweat through their skins, and that's what human beings do as well. They sweat through their skin, which is different to carnivores. So in that instance, again, we can see that human beings, they relate more to herbivores rather than to carnivores. If we look at the length of gestation, we can see that for carnivore it's equal or less to 15 weeks. So if you look at a wolf, it's 9 weeks is a period of gestation. Lion, it's 15 weeks. Cheetah, it's 13 weeks. But if you look at all big herbivores, the period of gestation is equal or superior to 34 weeks. So if we look at the bison, it's 40 weeks. If you look at giraffe, it's we look at the horse, it's 47 weeks. We look at a gorilla, it's 36 weeks. If we look at chimpanzees, it's 34 weeks. If we look at orangutan, it's 38 weeks. And if we look at human beings, it's 40 weeks. So we can see again in this instance that human being relates more to the herbivores rather than carnivores. And something else we can have a look to is that the carnivores, they've got a short gestation period, and they've got multiple births. So if you look at a dog, a cat, a lion, they've got multiple cubs at the same time, and you can see as well that when they are born, they've got their eyes closed, which is completely different to herbivores. They've got single birth, rarely twins. So basically they've got single birth, and when the young are born, they are born with eyes open, and that's exactly what happened to human beings. When you look at human beings, most of the time we've got single birth, and when we are born, we've got our eyes open. We've got no eyes, our eyes are not closed. And in that instance, again, we relate more to herbivores. We can look as well at the digestive tract. Herbivores have got long intestines, which is roughly 6 times the length of their bodies. But if you look at carnivores, the digestive tract is shorter, and it's basically 3 times the length of their bodies. And if we look at us human beings, we've got long intestines, and our intestines are roughly 9 meters, which is 27 feet. Again, in that instance, human beings relate more to herbivores. We can look at something else as well. There's an enzyme that are produced in the mouth region, and they are produced to start the digestive process, and you can only see that with herbivores. That enzyme doesn't exist in carnivores, and in herbivores and human beings, you see that enzyme, which means that the digestive process starts in the mouth region, but for carnivores it doesn't exist. Again, herbivores and human beings relate. And if you look at the stomach, for carnivores, they've got the acid. The stomach acid is 20 times stronger than human beings, and they've got the kidneys are as well very strong and very powerful, because they need to digest the uric acid with the uric acid. So basically, when you add a meat, you produce uric acid, and you need to have a very powerful kidney to be able to get rid of that uric acid. And that's why you can see carnivores, they've got stronger kidneys, and the stomach acid is very powerful compared to human beings. And we as human beings, when we eat meat, we only digest 20% of the meat, while carnivores, they digest all of it. So from this we can see that physiologically human beings are herbivores. There's no question about it. And if you look at gorillas, we share 99% of the same DNA. But if you look at gorilla, if you pay attention what they eat, they only eat fruit, vegetables, and tender roots. They don't eat any animal product, while we share 99% of the same DNA. So basically, if we look, human beings, most of the time, they'll eat for the taste and not for what the body was designed. And that's basically the cause of the chronic diseases that we all suffer throughout the world. So to understand what the wrong food to our system, we will look at the bowel transit time. Basically, it's the time that a certain type of food takes to pass through our system. So if we eat fruit, it takes 3 to 4 hours to pass through our system. If we eat raw vegetables, it takes around 12 hours. If we eat cooked vegetables, it takes between 24 and 30 hours to pass through our system. If we eat meat, chicken, fish, it takes between 48 and 72 hours. So basically, the meat passes through the system very slowly, and the vegetables pass quickly. That's why early before I told you that human beings, they've got longer intestine, because the vegetables is supposed to pass quickly, and carnivores, they've got shorter intestines, because the meat goes pass through the system very slowly. So basically, if you put meat outside in the summer for 3 days, because I've told you that that meat, the meat, when it passes through the system, it takes 72 hours, basically 3 days. So if you take the meat and you put that outside during the summer, you will see that it will start rotting after 3 days. And if you look at the human body, our internal temperature is 36 degrees, which is summer. So basically, if we eat meat, fish, chicken, and it's gonna stay in our body for 3 days. And just like I've told you, after 3 days, it's basically rotting inside our guts. That's what meat, fish, and chicken produce to our bodies. And basically, we don't even have the powerful chloric acid to be able to digest all this animal product. So what is going to happen? Our body will have to work harder to try and digest all this animal product. And with all this putrefaction in the colon, what's going to happen? it's gonna ask our body to produce lots of energy, and that's why most of the time we feel tired. People wake up in the morning and they feel very tired. It's like they've not even slept during the night, and this is because our body needs to produce lots of energy to be able to digest all these things. And when it's putrefying, basically it's producing lots of bacteria, and our system is trying to basically fight or reduce that amount of bacteria, and that's why we feel all the time tired, and that's why we need a lot of stimulant. We need energy drink, we need coffee, we need all this stuff. So basically in our colon we've got two types of germs. We've got the pathological germs and the physiological germs. The physiological germs handle vegetables, fruit, and stuff like that, and they produce fermentation, which is less toxic. But the pathological germs, they handle meat, chicken, so basically all the animal product, and they produce putrefaction, which is they produce very toxic stuff. And when the physiological germs are superior to the pathological germs, you've got good health. When it's the contrary, so when the pathological germs are superior to the physiological germs, it basically linked to bad health. You've got high level of toxicity, and thus you got infection and inflammation. So what we have to do is to try and get the level of physiological germs superior to pathological germs, and basically if you do that, you'll be in basically good health. And if we were basically designed to eat meat, the nature would have provide us with the tools to be able to eat meat like that. So for example, if you look at a carnivore, they only need their teeth and their claws to be able to eat meat. But for us human beings, we need knives, we need guns, we need all these things to be able to kill an animal. So for example, if they give you a live goat and they ask you to kill it with your teeth and your bare hands, I don't think that you'll be able to do that. But if we look at carnivores, they are able to do that because nature have designed them to eat meat, not us. And to go in that direction, if for example you are lost in the forest, what we'll do, what the first thing that will come up to your mind if you want to eat, you will have to look for fruit and stuff like that. I don't think that you will have in mind to look for a rabbit or to look for an antelope and stuff like that, because first of all they will outrun you, and even if you were able to catch them, I don't think that with your bare hand you will be able to eat them. And bear in mind that in the forest maybe you will not be able to have fire and stuff like that, and I don't think that you will be able to eat them raw. But for carnivores, they are designed to do that. They don't need guns, they don't need knives, they only cut the prey with their teeth and their claws. And basically it shows again that our natural instinct is to eat fruit. So for the first 20 to 25 years your body will manage to a certain extent, but after that your body is going to be overwhelmed with all these things. When you look at animal products, they've got no fibers, and what they will do, they will give you constipation. And there are people who they don't have bowel movement for 2-3 days, even a week, and that's very, very terrible for the human system. You need to go to the toilet, you need to have bowel movement every single day, maybe once or twice a day. And what's happened, because you've got constipation, the fecal matter will stay in your body for too long, and basically what will happen, they will get reabsorbed in your bloodstream, and that's how people get sick. There's no other way. You eat the wrong food stay in your body for too long, for the time it was not supposed to stay, because when you eat, like I've told you, fruit, vegetables and stuff like that, it passes through your system very quickly. But when you eat meat, chicken and stuff like that, it stays too long, for 3 days, and it gives you constipation. You don't go for you don't have bowel movement for 3 days, a week and stuff like that, and all these putrefying toxins get reabsorbed into your system, and that's how we get sick. We get all these chronic disease such as high blood pressure, we got diabetes, we got cancer, we got Parkinson, Alzheimer, stroke, arthritis, and all the autoimmune diseases where the body destroys itself. One type of autoimmune disease is the inflammatory bowel disease, where you get inflammation of the colon and the small intestine. We got psoriasis when you've got abnormal patches of skin. We got the multiple sclerosis, where we get muscle weakness. You are blind in one eye, trouble with sensation. You've got lupus, where you got painful and swollen joints. You got hair loss, chest pain, mouth ulcers. You feel tired all the time. You get red rashes and stuff like that. Or you got rheumatoid arthritis, when you got warm and swollen and painful joint. And all these diseases are caused by the wrong food that we put in our system. So basically we must eat what our body was designed for. The disease, they don't fall from the sky. We are what we eat. It's not that the disease, like I've just said, fall from the sky. It's basically because of old age and all that. It's not. It's because we eat the wrong food. So for example, to go in that direction, what I would say is, if you look at animals in the forest, they very rarely fall sick, because when you look at animals, they eat what their body was designed for, what the nature has provided them for them to eat. It's not like a lion is supposed to eat meat. It's not that one day they decide to eat grass. They never do that. Rarely, maybe for some certain reason, but as they diet, they never do that. Or the cat or dogs and stuff like that, they basically don't fall sick. The animals that live in the forest, most of the time they die from old age, or if they've been catched by a prey and they escape, and maybe they won't get infected and stuff like that, or when they have a fight when they want females, and that's how animals in the forest they died. But they've got no vet in the forest. There's no vet for them. When they are born, they are not no vet to help them to give birth and or stuff like that. But if now you look at the animals, the domesticated animals that we keep with us human beings, they fall sick just as us, because we give them the wrong food. If we look at dogs or cats that we got with us, they are supposed to eat raw meat, but what we give them, different stuff. And that's why you will see cats with diabetes, with cancer, with multiple sclerosis and stuff like that. And if you look at the cows, they give them corn, they give them meat powder, while they are supposed to eat grass. And that's why you've heard in the past that the cows are the cow's mouth disease, and this is because they give them the wrong food. If we have to look again, apart from meat, chicken, fish being poison, they are raised in appalling conditions. They are raised in confined spaces. They don't have the sunlight. They don't eat the right food. and because of that they've got lots of infections. You can't sustain life in those conditions, and that's why 70% of the antibiotic that are produced in the world goes to cattle. It goes to chicken, cows, fish, and all these things, and they give them strong steroid as well, just to sustain them, because if not they would fall sick and die. And when we ingest all this meat, we get all this steroid, we get all this antibiotic, and this is very, very bad for our system. And if you look at fish as well, they've got lots of mercury. Mercury is a heavy metal that you don't want that to be in your system, because mercury produces harmful effect on your nervous system, on your digestive system, and your immune system, and they are bad as well for your lungs and your kidney. So that's what mercury does to your system. From this you can see that animal flesh does the wrong stuff in your body. And apart from that, we've got the dairy product, another component which is very, very bad for the human mechanism. From dairy product, we've got milk, you've got cheese, you've got yogurt, you've got butter, and all these things. Men are the only species of the entire earth who drink the milk of different species. You can never see a dog drinking cow's milk. You will never see a cat drinking a dog's milk. You will never see a cheetah drinking lion's milk. It doesn't happen in the entire earth. It's only human beings who drink the milk from a different species, because normally every milk is specific to its own species. I repeat, every milk is specific to its own species. So for example, if you look at a cow's milk, a calf when it's born, it weighs 30 kilos. After 3 months it will triple that amount of weight. It will be 90 kilos. That's why in the cow's milk you've got lots of growth hormones, and you've got lots and lots of calcium, because the calf will grow bigger, and its bones will have to sustain that amount of weight that is going to have, and that's why they've got lots of calcium and lots of growth hormones. But for human being, when you eat, you drink that, it can't be good for your system. And cow's milk are linked to obesity, and too much calcium gives you osteoporosis, because when you got too much calcium in your body, it's an excess, and your body try to get rid of it through urination, and that's why you will be able to see that lots of people who drink milk, they've got osteoporosis when they get older. And in the cow's milk you've got lots of phosphorus, and basically when we've got all this phosphorus in our system, our calcium, our body needs to see how to need to manage basically that phosphorus, and that's why it will get calcium for our teeth, from our bones, from our muscles, and that's why we get osteoporosis, which is basically where you get your bones, they become brittle, and you've got inflammation of your joints. And if you look at the countries where the intake of milk is very high, you will see that in those countries they've got lots of the rate of osteoporosis is very, very high. And as well, because all these cows, they are milk all day long, and for a long period of time they produce pus, and all these pus are mixed up with the milk that they produce, and all these things will go into our system. And when it's a little bit bizarre for me is human beings are the only species that drink milk when they are adult as well. You will never see a lion drinking milk or a big dog drinking milk. It doesn't happen. It's only human beings who drink milk when they are old, when they are big, when they are not infant anymore. And all these things, it's bizarre because there's an enzyme which is produced to digest milk, and basically it stops between 2 and 4 years old. Basically it means that the nature wants people to stop drinking milk around those ages. And you will see that 70% of the world population, they are intolerant to lactose because they are not supposed basically to drink milk in that age. And if we have to look, if for example a woman is breastfeeding, if she can express that milk and give that to an adult, he will say no. He's gonna say no, I'm not gonna drink that. But it's human milk. They will say no, they don't want to drink that. But how come it's when it's cow's milk, we are okay to drink that? From another species, we are okay to drink that when we are adults or even when we are kids. But if it's our own species, if they ask you to drink milk from a woman, if you are, let's say, 20 years old or 30 years old, they ask you this, they tell you that this is human's milk, drink that, you will say no. This is a little bit bizarre, it doesn't make any sense. And this is basically, now I'm going to give you the list of disease causes by dairy product. You've got anemia, ear infection, appendicitis, you got eczema, you got asthma, you get osteoporosis, you get leukemia, you get multiple sclerosis, you get cancer, you get allergies, you get arthritis, you get lymphoma. And all these things are produced just by drinking milk, because we are drinking the milk for a different species, which is not, which basically is not for our own requirement. And that's what we've been put in our head, in our mind, that cow's milk is good for us. It's not good for us. Basic is poison for us, because I've just listed you all the disease that we get from drinking cow's milk. And basically we've got it produce early puberty because in the cow's milk they've got too much estrogen, and too much estrogen is linked to breast cancer. And as you can see, lots of girls, or when they are maybe 8, they are already going through their puberty because they are drinking cow's milk, and cow's milk have got lots of estrogen. And you can see as well that the breast cancer or the ovarian cancer or the uterus cancer is on the rise, just because we are drinking cow's milk. And if we have to look again about the eggs is very bad for the human mechanism as well, because the concentration of cholesterol is very, very, very high. And basically what it is going to do is going to be bad for your arteries, and it's going to clog them up, and what you will have after, it's stroke, heart problems, and stuff like that, just by clogging up your arteries and by ingesting the wrong food. In that list, another bad food is the processed food. What is the processed food? The processed food are the food that have been transformed, and you can't find them in the nature. In that, basically, they don't resemble to anything in nature. And we've got things like cans, things in bottles, cartons, microwave food, and stuff like that. Why it's bad? Because in all this food you found lots of flavoring, preservative, coloring, and additive, and all these things are very, very toxic for the human mechanism. they create havoc in our system. Because when you get flavoring, they try to give you to change the flavor of the food. The additive, they add a different ingredient. The coloring, they give an attractive color. And the preservative, it's to give them a long shelf life. And when you eat all this food, basically you are poisoning yourself. You are poisoning yourself with this thing, as you are adding a lot of toxicity in your system. We've got as well the white sugar, white rice, white flour. Basically all these things are refined food. They are polished to give them the white appearance, and when they do that, they deprive them of all vitamins, and they got no nutrients, and they become very toxic for the body. So all these white refined flours, they are very, very toxic for your system. And apart from that, when you drink the you get all these white sugars and all this stuff with the artificial sweetener. They go straight in your bloodstream, and basically they will ask for high demand of insulin, and in the long run your system will collapse, and this is not sustainable. Apart from that, we've got aspartame as well. Aspartame is an artificial sweetener, and basically they found that in stuff like drinks, energy drink, and juices, fizzy drink, soft drink, and stuff like that. And basically they are found in 10,000 different food in supermarket, and basically they are highly toxic to the system. So for example, if you look today, you buy a can of soft drink or stuff like that, just have a read and you will see that you've got aspartame inside. And that's why a lot of drinks are advertised as sugar free, but if you look, you will see that aspartame, which is artificial sweetener. And basically aspartame, that I've told you, it's a nerve poison. It's linked to migraine, headache, depression, weight gain, cancer, damage to your internal organ. That's what aspartame and all this artificial sweetener do to your system. And you've got as well the sodium benzoate, which has been linked to cancer. So if you look at all this food, basically they are making us very toxic. We're becoming toxic, and that's how we get sick. So I will give you a list of food with the most acidifying effect. So basically, when your body is acidic, become acidic, it's linked to bad health. Your body needs to be alkaline. And here I'll give you a list of acidifying food. You've got milk, you've got meat and its product, you've got tin and frozen cans, frozen food, you've got white bread, white pasta, pastry made from bleached and refined flour, you've got refined sugar, alcoholic beverages, diet beverages, soft drink, sports drinks, packaged fruit juices, preserved food, processed breakfast cereals, chocolate, ready-made cake, crisp, hydrogenated oils and fat, most fat, and junk food. All these foods are very, very toxic for the body. So basically this is the first part of this video. I'm gonna make another second part, and maybe a third part. I just don't know yet, but there will be a second part where I will give you my personal experience, and I will tell you basically what you have to do to be able to cure all this disease. So basically you need to stay tuned, bear with us, and in the following week I'll put another video to continue this. And basically in the meantime, I will say take care, and we'll see each other in the next video. Till next time, take care of yourself. Bye.